Hey guys, before we get started here, I just want to jump in and say that if you are interested in getting more good, reliable sources of information into your inbox every day, I'm going to recommend that you go to onscenealert.com. Go there, take a look at their service. They provide a really great service that's called the Global Intelligence Briefing. And this 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, they're going to send you an email, and that email is going to have a whole bunch of information in it. And that information has been evaluated and has been looked at by trained intelligence analysts and crisis managers who's worked for multiple different government agencies for a long time. And it's only going to cost you about a large cup of coffee a month, about $6.99 a month. And I tell you what, it's one of the things that I look forward to reading every morning when I get out of bed. I've talked to some friends who've signed up for the service. They've said the same thing. It's a really good service, so you should check it out. And the cool part about it is that I'm an affiliate with them, and for every month that you are signed on with them, you will be helping to support my channel because they will be giving me $2 of your monthly subscription. So I definitely appreciate the support. And with that, we'll get started with the show. Hey everybody, I'm JJ. You're watching Reality Survival. And so, been having several conversations with people just around about how there is so much fake news out there. And so I thought I would take this time to come up with a video that's like the top 10 ways to spot fake news. All right. Now, before I get into this, let me just say that what I'm talking about here is traditional kind of fake news that is put out by people who make a profit off of getting clicks, outrageous titles, and all that kind of stuff. I am the first to admit that you cannot trust mainstream media news sources, okay? And so, you know, that should just be said right up front, that there is a lot of awful information that is put out with terrible amounts of spin and terrible amounts of bias from many large companies that are, you know, considered mainstream media sources. And even though they may not fit some of the things that I'm saying here, I'm acknowledging that those sources do have their issues as well, right up front. Okay, so, and I have another video that I'm going to do that talks about kind of a wide variety of places that I get information from that I feel like is, when you look at it in total, in aggregate, is a fairly reliable group of sources. But that's not this video. So with this one, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So number one is, and we're assuming that you're looking at some sort of internet or web-based news source, okay? So number one is the article has no date. So, you know, if you're looking at it on social media or whatever, you click to go to the article, first thing I would suggest is actually read the whole article. If you're just scanning the headlines, then that's not a great practice as far as if you're really wanting to get good information. But if the article has no date, that should be a red flag. And let me just say that these are a list of indicators. If there's just one indicator out of the 10, it might still be a good source of information. It might not be. But if there's 3 or 4 of these indicators in one article, you probably got fake news going on, okay? So, you know, just think about that. This is just a list of indicators. It doesn't necessarily mean that any one thing or the other is, you know, if it has one of these things, that it means it's fake news. It's you got to look at it in totality of the circumstances. So the number one is article has no date. A common tactic for a lot of these sites to do is to take and repost old news stories and then link to the older articles because the author knows that most people don't check the date on the articles that are linked. A prime example of this is there's going around now that Vladimir Putin has brain cancer and Parkinson's, and that that's why he's doing all the things he is in Russia or whatever. Okay, well, I don't know anything about the situation about Putin's health personally, but I do know that there are articles going back to at least 2014 from very dubious sources like The Sun that are that suggested that, and then as recently as 2020. So I think that instance, this case, is just this recircling of information, and that's a real common thing to happen on fake news sites. The article has no author listed in the article. If it doesn't say who the author is, that should make your antennas go up right away, because authors write for a living. If they are not willing to put their name on the article, it is unlikely to be legitimate. Or if the author is not proud of his authorship and he's attempting to hide his identity, you just have to question why. Why aren't you putting your name to it? You know what I mean? That's a problem, in my opinion. Number 3 is, who runs the website where the information is being hosted? Have they ever published anything? Do they have any books? Do they have any articles, any magazines, any other literature whatsoever? Or are they just internet bloggers? Okay? And it's not to say that an internet blogger can't have credibility. There are many that do, especially with the creation of Substack and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that they necessarily can't be, but many of the people, even in Substack and stuff, have a history of being a journalist or a reporter with somebody or something like that, and they're usually quite proud of that, and they will put those things out there. All right. Okay, and can the company be contacted? Who are they? What have they done in the past? And do they provide a way for you to get in touch with them and ask questions and or leave comments or anything like that? Okay. All right, number 4 is the website filled with tons of junk ads? Now, most all websites will have some kind of ads or affiliate, things listed or, something along those lines. But is it like every paragraph, between every paragraph, there's, constant ads on both sidebars and all over the place? That's a click factory. That's what it is. It's probably not legitimate journalism. It's, again, just an indicator. Okay. Okay, this is a big one. Links in the articles are not active or dead, or they go to other sites that are not related to the story at hand, or they go to the top-level domain that was referenced, but not to the actual story. So maybe it says, Time magazine did an article that said blah, 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 or about this thing, and then they link to Time, but they don't link to the specific article. Okay, that's a problem. Or if the link goes to somewhere and it gets like a 404 error, gateway error, because the story is missing, that's usually problematic. Okay. Number 6 is the links in the articles are circular reporting that is linked to other stories from the same author or the same group of authors. InfoWars is particularly terrible about this. They'll have a breaking news story that's based off of a story that another one of their reporters did, and it just is this big circle. It's just this big self-licking ice cream cone, and they don't ever go to any outside sources or whatever. That's not legitimate. Okay. Let's see here. Number 7 is links in the article go to social media posts that are not affiliated with someone, say, from an official government account or somebody who was related directly to the story that they're talking about. It's like they just link to this person who is tweeting about what another person tweeted who thought about some other tweet. Okay, that isn't a source. It needs to go to someone. if it's going to go to a social media link or post or person or profile, they should at least be somebody directly related to the situation. Not just some random person commenting about some other thing or some other position or some other opinion. Okay, that's not a legitimate source. Let's see, number 8, is the article full of opinion, or is it just relating the facts? Or at the very least, does it address when it's providing opinion? Does it separate the two? Does it say, hey, here's what's going on, this is my take on that? You know what I mean? Something along those lines. Because legitimate journalists, if they're going to provide opinion, then they should call out that they're doing so, and it should separate it from the work at hand that they're talking about. Okay, number 9. Are the media sources reporting on the are other media sources reporting on the situation? I'm just trying to read my notes here. So what I'm saying is that are there multiple outlets that are reporting about the event at hand? Now, all those sources might have different approaches and different takes on it and different opinions, and they might be hitting it from different biases on different sides. But is the thing that is being spoken about, that is being written about, being covered by other people? Okay? If you can't find anything, like no other sources talking about the subject that you're reading about, and that they're just the one special person who has special secret access to this thing that's so important that nobody else is writing about, it's probably not real. Okay. All right. Number 10. Does it pass the smell test? Are the facts consistent with the world you live in, with what you see around you, and what you know to be true? All right. Reality is a thing. We live in reality, and we all have to abide by the certain rules of reality and all that. All right. If something just is so far off base from reality, and again, it's not being covered by anything else, it's something that is exceptionally outside your sphere of existence, and that you've never seen or heard anything like that, then you should look at it with a greater deal of skepticism. And I'm not saying that fantastic things can't be true, okay? They can be, but they don't happen all the time. You know, it's a rare exception, okay? And it should give you pause, and it should make you dig a little bit deeper, all right? So these are just kind of the top big things of like the worst offenders that I've seen that are out there. These things are a lot. If you look at this list, you kind of define it down to what it is, and you start using this as a criteria for at least filtering through, like, hey, what should I give a little bit more skepticism to? I think you'll start to see that there is a pattern to these kinds of websites. All right, and many of these websites also work together with each other and kind of link back and forth to one another. They created their own little ecosystem of misinformation that's out there, and they all help kind of feed one another, you know, a bunch of BS, really. So hopefully this will help. You know, I think that if you use this as a rough guide to at least help you, just to make you say, hey, should I really put that much credence into this? You know, should I really believe that this is 100% true, or should I be a little bit more skeptical? Like, I'm the first to tell you guys that you should be skeptical of lots of things. Definitely be skeptical of the government. Question with boldness, you know, even the existence of God. I don't have any problem with that, especially if it leads you to a deeper truth. But I did that video not too long ago talking about biases. And your biases can, if you're not careful, they can lead you down a bad path. All right, there are groups of people that are actively trying to get especially far right-wing conservatives to believe in narratives that are really extreme and really outlandish because they want to fracture the conservative half, of the country. And so I would just recommend that you are skeptical, not just of the mainstream media, but also of the alternative news sources, because there are bad stories and bad authors and misinformation on both sides of that. Just because an article is believe or espouses or say that they believe in all the same things that you do and that they stand for the same things that you do does not mean that they don't have an agenda and that they aren't trying to lead you astray. Okay? So anyway, that's enough on that. That's just my take. That's 10 tips for how to spot fake news. I would love to hear what you guys think is good tips for identifying fake news down in the comments below, because these are just 10. There's lots more. There's a lot more things out there, and if you guys can put those down in the comments, that would be great. That way other people could learn from them. You could share this out, other people could see it, and hopefully people can just have a little bit more of a discerning eye when they're looking at these things. All right? Okay, guys, well, don't forget to live 6 Ps. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Stay safe.